I'm too old, dude. I'm too old for
Oh,
this.
dude, and I always try to explain, like, I try to read every comment, try to interact with everybody depending on what I'm doing.
Right.
Sometimes, sometimes it's just impossible because it's just the site,
Yeah.
especially where I am. If I'm somewhere during the day and it's a bright background and like
I
the
forget it.
hue of it's nearly impossible.
What's
What's
up,
up,
Heather
everyone?
Tijuana, Tammy, Karina?
Heather, Gracie, what's going on,
All
guys?
jumping in.
Moxie's joining us for this session.
It's funny.
Moxie's joining us. Yeah, so it is. We're you're older than me, but
My
not
eyes are
by
shot.
much. Yeah,
My eyes are
yeah,
shot.
yeah, yeah. You know what that is. That's from years and years of us playing video games up close to the TV because we
I
didn't
don't
have
know. I feel like
controllers.
part of it's genetics. I think it's just old people
That's
eyes.
yeah, old
Yeah,
people
it's just
eyes.
it's just
That's
word. It's just the
hey.
way it
The
goes.
next time I talk to a spirit, I gotta ask him. I gotta be like, hey, what's your eyesight like?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Does your eyesight get better when you're dead? It's a real question. Like, wouldn't it suck if you wake up dead and you can't find your glasses and you got to go through eternity with like, man, I can't see shit.
Right? 2020 vision, my ass,
Oh my
Listen,
god.
so the other night when I was at the cemetery, joking around, it was humid. Uncle
Right.
Gary, it was humid. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like,
That's
humid. And
gross.
I am
I hate
like,
it. I know. I hate
I,
the humidity.
I am just sweating. And
I
I
know. It's the
literally
worst. It's disgusting.
nonchalantly say to the spirits, you're lucky you're dead and you probably can't feel the humidity. And the spirit cursed me out when I said that. The spirit got upset, and I didn't realize like it's kind of like they might have taken it as mocking them, like, hey, you're dead, you can't feel this. But like they
That's
got
funny.
upset when I said it, and I was like, oops.
Well, it's like, you should chill out. Uh,
Yeah.
I hate the humidity. It's another just to add it to the list. What's up, Hope or M Hope or Mope? How do you like to
Hope,
say your name?
it's Hope, Shadow Hunter. What's going on? Gee, what's happening?
Uh, it's funny.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody, welcome, welcome. We're starting to get the people in. They're trickling in. Yeah, you take 1 week off live, and it's like your 40 people go down to 10. These are the diehards, John. These are
Yep.
the ones who are like, they got it set on
Yep.
their phone. They're like, when these mother effers go live,
We're
I am
there.
there. It's like the
We're
bat
there
phone.
for it.
Yeah. It's like,
You don't
they
want to
get
miss the
on.
Splintered Spirits live.
They don't.
Nope, I don't blame
But
them.
yes, everyone, this is Splintered Spirits, the podcast where we talk about all things paranormal with John Santa from Santa Paranormal and me, Gary, as we try to figure out what spirits are, if we ever can. But we are going to do our damnedest to try. John, what happens in the world of paranormal for you this past 2 weeks? We didn't get to catch up last week.
Oh man, unfortunately the weather was just such a bummer. I was definitely kept indoors quite a bit. Interesting though, like the tower is the tower. I mean, last night the night before, for example, the bathroom spirit Lisa slams the toilet seat down. I mean like
Did you leave it
sl-
up? Because
well,
that's not
oh yeah,
very
I leave it up all the
gentlemanly.
time. I
That's
leave it up all the
there's
time.
not a
There's no
gentleman.
females here.
You're not a gentleman. Well,
Yeah.
Lisa's there.
Yeah. Well, you know
So
what?
good. She
She's
slammed
dead,
it
and that's
down.
not my problem. She doesn't pay rent. I do. So I leave it up. For myself, I leave it
Outrageous.
up.
All
So
right.
she got
All right.
pissed. She slammed that. And then about an hour later, she threw something. Well, I don't want to say it was her, but somebody threw something upstairs while I was down here.
What'd they throw? Do you know?
It was a small 6-pack of AA rechargeable batteries in the case that recharges them is what ended
Interesting.
up getting tossed. So luckily they broke the case, but luckily I had another one. So uh, they got they
All
got
right.
upset. They got upset for sure. Don't
What
know why.
do
Don't know if it was Lisa, but
What do you think gets them? What do you think affects spirits, the mood of spirits?
listen, that's an interesting question because it could be so many different factors. I have noticed in the past that my mood will affect the spirits as well. So if I'm in a poor mood, it will, the spirits will not respond to me like they normally would. I have to be in a very good mood and then I'm walking a fine line because if I'm in a good mood, then I'm all over the place. So it's like if I can catch that vein, that fine line, and walk it where I'm in a good mood, I can talk to the spirits. It's perfect, but my mood seems to affect them.
Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think mood? What do you think mood affects spirits?
It definitely has to do with a spirit either feeding off the byproduct of what we release, as humans, like when we're angry, when we're, sad, when we're happy, just whatever that is. I don't know what that is, but it's definitely something, and that affects the spirits. And I've noticed, like, for example, I like I try not to get angry at places the same way I don't get scared.
Hmm.
Getting scared isn't my issue. Getting angry is an issue because I don't know what that's going to feed. I don't know what that's going to feed. And maybe it's the same reason why some spirits attach and they try to, attach to us as humans, and they try to some pretend to be our loved ones just to get that feeling. I mean, there could be multiple reasons.
What exactly is? Was it Brandon that was talking about attachments in this way? What exactly what exactly is attachment when you say that? Like when you say they're going to get attached, what are
So,
they attaching to, and what is that? What is that? What do you mean by
so,
that?
theoretically, you would think they would attach to your nervous system. You think they would actually attach to the nervous system, which runs up to the brain. Theoretically, it's not like they're going to latch onto your
It's like
ear
biologically, you're saying.
biologically. And but there's many different forms of attachments. Like there's a difference between a spirit that's following you, say like when I'm walking around the cemetery and I know I have a spirit following me, or if something latches on to me and comes home with me or goes to a different location. And there's different degrees of attachments. And then at what part does an attachment actually become a possession? It's really interesting to think about. There's so many different levels to it.
Well, right. I mean, it's like because is it they are becoming a part of you, or is it like just a crazy ex-girlfriend who won't leave you alone?
I
And
would
is that an
think more like a
attachment?
crazy ex-girlfriend. I don't think they become a part of you. I think they try.
Right, but then it's like more of they get obsessed with you for some reason, so they're following you around. But then
Yeah.
why can't they do that whenever they want? But you're saying intent can stop them somehow from doing
Yes.
that?
Yes. If your intent is strong enough, and again, I think it goes back into your feelings and what you're releasing. When I go to these places, it's like you're not following me. You're not attaching to me. And I bend that rule a little bit depending on where I'm at. If I'm walking around a cemetery, yeah, you want to follow me, go right ahead, but you're not following me when I leave. Almost like your mental status is what affects that.
Well, it's almost what's odd about it is that in this theory, spirits respect consent.
I mean,
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
it's
consent is clearly important in the spirit world.
yes, yes. Permission, consent. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
right. Like,
definitely.
oh, well, sorry,
Yeah.
they're stepping back
I
for
had a
some
spirit
reason.
that followed me around for about a month every time I went to this particular cemetery. His name was Joshua. I will never forget this
Okay,
spirit.
tell us
All
about
this
Joshua.
spirit did
But
was
tell us
talk
about
to
Joshua.
me.
What do you know about Joshua? First of all, like, how old was it? A
Okay.
soldier? Was it a
No. So Joshua was a new burial. He was definitely a newer, like a newer spirit. He was definitely somebody that was buried in the section that I normally don't go to.
okay?
And this spirit, all he talked about was food, mainly Italian food. Like,
It's got
and
taste.
it took me a bit to realize this because I thought it was just advertisements, radio, talking about food. But then
Sure,
he's like, John, I love marinara sauce. You know, I
sure.
really like chicken parm too. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I got a spirit following me around talking about food. So imagine this spirit, maybe we have a conversation. And then all of a sudden, hey, no, don't forget about pizza. And it's like, Josh. So it was funny. And,
Right.
and, and then for about a week. This actually is a darker story. There was something went wrong. I don't know if it was a legal issue or an open investigation. And I shit you not, there was a casket that was not lowered down into the ground yet.
Ooh,
Okay, so it was
ooh.
there. The mounded dirt was there. The hole was there. The
There was no
cast,
people around protecting
no
this thing?
people around. It was like that for about a
Dude.
week or two.
No, it
Good.
was not.
I I shit you not. This is on
Did you
live,
open it?
Gary.
Did you open it?
No, no. This and I didn't know about it because I never go in this section until like I saw it, and then it made sense. So what was happening was I had a very angry spirit following me around, and it was yelling at me and cursing me out, and I had no idea why. And then I saw the casket, and I saw that it wasn't lowered, and I thought to myself, this is either a legal issue, open investigation, or a malfunction in the equipment. But you would think if it was a malfunction in the equipment, they would have had it fixed the next day. This was like this for about 2 3 days,
Dude, you can't.
and
I
then
mean, wait a minute. Hold on a second. You're telling me they just left the. Do you think there was a body? Like they left the body,
I can't confirm that there was a body in the
right?
casket.
Like they just left it out. Like I don't know, dude. What are we gonna do? He ain't going anywhere. Let's just leave it out.
Yeah, yeah. It was the craziest thing. And then the second the casket was buried and covered up, it stopped. So it took a couple of days for them to do it. So I don't know if there was ever even a body in there. I didn't check. I wasn't gonna go near it. Well, I don't want to also, mess something up and then I lose my privileges there.
I know, but I
So
mean, dude, hell, that must have been real hard to not take a little sneak peek.
oh, it was, dude, even when I turned off the
The
live,
camera. Yeah.
like I stood there, I packed up, put everything away, put my book bag on, and literally turned around and faced the direction of where that casket was, and was like, "Do I want to go check this out?" And I was like, "You
Yeah.
know what? Let me not even
Yeah.
chance it, just in case
Yeah.
there's a cop somewhere, or
Right.
or who knows? Maybe the family set up a trail cam. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the situation was, so I was
Right.
like, let me use my brain and just you know, body in there or not, let me walk away.
Be a good
So,
prank show bit.
right? Imagine.
Let's see who
Imagine that was a
like.
setup and they were waiting for me to go to it.
Let's see if someone actually would do
Uh,
it.
I've
Imagine if
actually
you
had that
open.
happen to me once. I had a dude years ago who was running like a YouTube channel, and I didn't know this. And he calls me up and he's like, "Hey man," he was like, "Do you think one Sunday you could come work with me in this company? We're gonna be installing these signs, and I know you're handy, and we need an extra hand. We'll pay you well." And I was a single father at the time too. And the Sunday came, and I had to call him up, and I'm like, "Hey man, listen, I can't find a sitter on Sunday. I'm sorry. I wish I could help you." And he got all pissed off. Years later, I found out it was a whole YouTube bit, and they were gonna try to scare me and do this whole like, like planned out prank. And I said,
Funny.
"It's good you didn't do that because I would have kicked the shit out of somebody. Like I'm not, I don't get scared. I would have, you know, done whatever. It would have been bad. Like
Right.
that would have went
Right.
really, really bad."
It's fun to see those on YouTube when they go wrong.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of hidden camera shows, years ago, and it's like, they're pretty funny when they
When they
when you
go
get
right.
good reactions, but
Yeah.
sometimes, people come in, they don't. The secret when you produce a hidden camera show, you create a bit that you can burn people through, right? Because it's expensive. You can't like play a prank on one person. Because if you play a prank on one person, they walk in, they happen to spot like that's a camera, then there goes your whole bit. So you
Yeah.
create this scene where you can run through, 20 people, and you hope to get a handful of great reactions. Like that's the whole idea behind those shows. For the most part, scare tactics, even they used to do it like that too, but they would get a couple people through the same bit, nominated through it to burn through it. All right, so look, when you're talking about for your part mostly, right, when you're saying like this sort of connection with a spirit, a lot your interactions with them seem to be mainly like an interviewer, right? Like you ask questions, you do this. Have you have you ever had a situation where it's gotten, but I get it's always been very surface oriented. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
like there's never been a deeper. Has there ever been a deeper connection with
Yeah,
the spirit?
yeah.
How
So
do you? Yeah, go. So tell me about it.
so I have levels to this, right? Like
Hmm.
we're gonna talk about a most recent video was the spirit with Edwin that didn't remember that he didn't remember his wife's name, but he brought up that he had two wives, which I missed in the initial video, caught it afterwards in the replay. He brought up his son James. These are again, these are the interviews, these are the questions,
Hmm.
right? The next time I looked for Edwin last night. I couldn't find him. I couldn't remember where his headstone
Hmm.
is, but I'll end up finding it soon, right? So the next
Hmm.
time this happens, I have an opportunity now that I know Edwin's strong enough to do a deeper dive into him and to what he's about, and what he did when he was alive, and find out more information about him. Maybe even start building up a friendship. Where this has happened, well, it's happened on two levels, not just friendship wise. It's happened on nemesis wise as well. Edward is a prime example of that. Like
Right, sure.
Edward,
He's
yeah,
like right. He's your adversary in a weird right.
yeah, that like Edward is a prime and I hate to say it, but I have to say it because you got to give credit where credit is due. Edward is one of the strongest spirits
Right.
that anybody will ever have the pleasure of listening to. He
Right.
really is. I
He's
have.
great.
He's a super strong spirit, highly intelligent, knows what's going around,
Right.
adapts to situations. He's there,
Right. Right.
And then I've had others though that were good, like Joseph T. June and Joseph Churchwell and Elmer and Ann Purdy and like all
Hmm.
these other spirits that are. We go deeper. Our relationship gets deeper, and things start to develop. Like another prime example is Bruce and Virginia, two spirits that I've been speaking to, husband and wife, that I've been speaking to for years. Bruce and Virginia, we had a great relationship until Virginia starts hitting on me. Her husband's there, like I know her husband is hearing me as well. It's a very awkward situation, and you could go back and watch some of my videos of my interactions with them, and you're just like this is nuts. Like you could see, like, and people have been watching me for years saw this develop over time.
How far do you push it, and when do you stop?
All right. So I stop once I realize that the communication is dwindling. That means either two things. Either the spirit is losing its purchase on this reality, whatever that purchase is, losing energy, losing however frequency, whatever you want to call it, whatever's going on. Something is happening that's making the spirit come through less and less, or not at all. That's when I usually stop and I do a hard reset. I'll push it until I can't push it anymore. Um, but
Okay.
um, but I'm smart with it, as in I keep my time limited. So like if I'm talking to like this, like the conversation with Edwin, I stop that conversation. I realized, oh shit, this went on for over 5 minutes. I gotta stop this now, just in case he's burning through something unknown that's allowing him to speak to me this way.
Is that when you get? But it also sounds like too with some of them you care, and you're letting out an emotion with that.
Yo, yeah, definitely, definitely.
And is that risky? Do you think?
As long as I care enough, I'm caring more about the documentation than I am the actual spirit. In the back of my mind, it's all about the documentation. So the feelings that I care about, and as heartless it is for me to say, I'm open and honest with my audience about it too, even with the children spirits. It's about the documentation. At the end of the day, I'm not going to sully or sacrifice the documentation for the spirit's sake. That's not what I'm here to do. I never have claimed to be anything, or to help spirits, a spirit psychologist, something to help spirits feel better about themselves. No, if I come across a spirit that feels good about themselves, oh wait, excellent. If I come
Right.
across a spirit that's horrible and feels bad about themselves, oh wait, excellent. Let's document it.
But you can see, like, even your audience, right? Like, they get, you can see how a person could almost attached the other way. I mean, I'm
Yes,
reading the chat here, right? Cass, Mr. Churchwell's story is a heartbreaker. He is
heartbreaker.
so nice. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like
and
she's
there's also
she's
there's
saying, so she's like all in on this story, right? Um, and she buys into, so she's sort of getting involved, you know what I
oh
mean,
I
in
just
that
noticed
story.
Kathy's in the chat. Kathy's in the chat too.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
listen, everybody, do me a favor. If you have not followed, especially on Instagram, she's got a huge following on Instagram. Go on Instagram, give Kathy Nadal a follow. She is awesome. She was one of our first guests here on Splintered Spirits when we started diving into mediumship.
Oh
Definitely give
yeah.
her a follow. She is phenomenal. She's also on TikTok now, and she's got a bunch of other things in the works. So go
Get
check it out.
yourself a reading. Go to
Yes.
dreamcentralstation.com.
Hmm.
Get yourself a reading. It is, and Kathy is one of the very few in the scheme of things who has been certified by the Forever Family Foundation. If you guys listen to this week's episode, I wanted to meet with him. Just we'll digress for a second here, talk about this mediumship stuff. Because again, I wanted to speak to this guy, Bob Ginsberg, about it because what they talk about skeptical. They are very tough on the idea of what mediums are, and
Which is smart.
but yeah, and they have a real hard line of how they go about testing people and eventually certifying them. And most of the mediums guys that you know of that are famous on TV, like the Long Island medium, he was certified. And then they go on after certification. A lot of these people then they go on and do private practice. When they work for the Forever Family Foundation, that is not for profit. They don't get paid to help grieving families out. But
So
afterwards, they go on to do their own thing. Kathy is one of those people. She is legit. To us, she is, and to this organization, they believe, and she passed their test, and she has a connection, to spirit, which is wild.
yeah. So
You
Kathy
know,
did ask a question. She asked,
but
she would like me to talk about how I protect myself before and after leaving a cemetery, and how I open and
okay,
close myself. That actually falls into intent. It's literally all about intent for me, and uh, certain places I go to, and I speak about this all the time. Like if I go to Buckout, for example, or I'm in the abandoned side of the undisclosed location. What I do to, I guess people would call it to cleanse myself, is put myself in a more positive situation. So like for example, if I go to buck out at night, most of the time during the day, there's a chance I'm gonna be at the Ocean View Cemetery, which has got the best, resting place view for anybody could ever have. It's just a
right,
very peaceful, serene place. But it's mainly intent. It's actually mainly intent. It's just that unwavering, intent. But going back, because we're jumping around a little bit, going
yeah,
back to Churchwell, there are exceptions where Mr. Churchwell, his story was tragic, right? He was a Civil War soldier. He was 19 when he
yeah,
died from his wounds from the Battle of the Wilderness, which was considered the most horrific battle of the Civil War. It was a bad one. And um, when I come across spirits like that, I also got like, I say it all the time, you know, that's a man right there.
right,
That's a man. That will be, yeah, so what? I have, 20 years as a volunteer firefighter, whatever. That's a man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
it's like that's a even more than just a man. That's a human being that, you know, I don't know, way better than ever I could be.
Well,
Yeah.
so. Look, it is an interesting topic about where you draw that line. And I was
Uh,
reading, and I want you to pull this up, dude. I've been really looking into this idea because we talk about spirit communication, but there clearly is uh, bonds or attachments that are made. And check out the New York Post, bro. Pull up the New York Post. I don't know why the New York Post is an authority of paranormal, if they are, but they write articles about it. But pull up this article about.
I still can't believe that this is in the New York Post.
Well, okay, tell everybody what it is, and then
Okay,
yeah.
so
And when was it? When did this
I'm
drop?
just gonna read the headline. You ready?
And when did this drop? What's the date of this? It's not that long ago. It's not that old.
May 9th, 2025. So this dropped in May 9th of
Okay.
this year.
Yeah.
This is May 9th of this year.
This is
The
in the New
title
York
of this
Post.
article is as follows. I had a threesome with my bisexual woman and my dead husband's ghost. He finally got his happy ending.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
It finally
insane.
happened.
That's insane. She's
Two
53 years
girls,
old.
one ghost, by the way.
Yeah. 53 years old. Now, I want to touch on this before we dive in even more to this. I cannot tell you. Have you ever heard me say the phrase spiritual riz?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Right.
I have tons of videos on spirits hitting on me, both male and female. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
I think it's
I get.
hilarious.
You're a big bear, dude.
Yeah.
Even those
Yeah.
like gay spirits must really dig it.
Yeah. Well,
Although,
dude,
is it
that's the
like?
other thing. I actually love coming across the gay spirits. They're some
I
of my
also
favorite
wonder if
spirits to
it's
come
like.
across.
I
Because what
also
an
wonder
honor
if.
it is. Think about it like this. What an honor it is to have a man who had to stay in the closet because of the times he was in. And now
Sure.
that he can finally come out and be like, hey, I like men. I think you're attractive. Of all the people, he says it to me.
I know it's great.
That's
I think it's
fucking
great.
flattering.
I also wonder though if like, is there any sort of is it sexually fluid after life?
It has to be. It
Do
has
you know what
to
I'm saying?
be.
Like, who cares? It's like,
It
is there
has to
such a
be.
thing as
There's
is it just the one big orgy of ghosts?
It has to be. And
You're the greatest party ever.
yeah, right. I also feel that spirits feed off sexual energy all the
Okay.
time. And we see a lot of this at the cottage.
Right. All right. Now
So,
go back to this article.
yeah.
Let's go back to this article real quick.
Okay.
Because this is a woman who I think when I read it, I want you to read it to our crowd here. Or you can jump around, but it's like maybe the relationship went a bit too far. But let's see.
1 second.
Uh-oh. Another spirit is being made.
Didn't make a difference. I was gonna try to block it out this time, but
Another spirit's being made. Every time a
that's it.
siren rings,
Another one's being made.
another spirit gets its
So,
wings.
all right. So, what's interesting? This is from Manchester. This is from England.
Okay.
This story.
They're wild over there. Sure.
She identifies as a bisexual. She claimed her husband Andy dreamed about having threesomes. They
Okay.
fantasized about it.
Okay.
They joked. She said it would be a treat on his 60th birthday.
60th. Playboy.
Unfortunately, he died from COVID in 2020,
Oops.
and they never got to do it. And then, what's it called? Let's see here. All right. They were about to do it too. They had the whole thing planned out. They were going to get an
Isn't it
escort
weird?
and
Because
everything.
he's probably old. Do you ever see any documentaries on swingers or any of this thing? Do you ever
Yeah.
see these things? They're always old, dude. It's almost like they hit a certain age and we're like, we're going crazy. It's never like smoking hot swingers. It's like old people swinger. It's like
Yeah.
they're like we've done it all. Now we're old. Now we're gonna really shake things up.
Now we're gonna, yeah.
Anyway,
Now we're
but
gonna
go
get
ahead. So she was going to. She had it down, but then he died from COVID.
Yep. So hold on. I'm a fast reader, so I'm just skimming through.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna give you the synopsis.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Talk about where she's like felt his presence or something.
Wow. Oh, yeah. So what they did is they got a picture of the man.
Okay.
And yeah. During the romp, Wake said she felt the Widowmaker's presence and said that he absolutely supported her getting back in the sack with a woman. Oh,
Sure.
wait a minute. Okay. So this was more of a cuckold situation than it was an actual threesome. He was in the room watching. They just said that he felt his
Ah,
presence
I
rather
see.
than it's a little bit of a clickbait article.
Yeah.
But then again, it's a New York Post.
Right, right.
Uh,
Right, right.
um, yeah, so it was more like a cuckold situation. He was
Sure.
there in spirit,
She
and
said
they both
he
felt his
literally,
presence.
and then they felt his presence, and they probably put his picture in a chair so he could watch the two chicks make out. That's his
Yeah.
bag. That was
Me
his thing.
personally, me personally, if I was her, I would have got some of his ashes, had a dildo casted out of it, and
Ah, yeah, right. Made a party. Yeah, it's a different kind of party
let
for
it
sure.
happen.
Yeah, right. It's really interesting. So it's okay. So she's in her mind though. She said she really felt him there.
Yes. Yes.
So she invited him in,
Yeah.
right, to
And
do
if
it.
they both felt the husband there, the dead husband there, he could have been feeding off that energy.
Sure. There's a word for this. I looked it up, and there's actually a word for it. It's called spectrophilia.
Spectrophilia. Yeah.
People who are sexually attracted to
Spirits.
ghosts and
Yeah.
spirits. It's a thing, guys. It's a real thing.
Yes, it is.
And it really comes down to, I believe, so I guess people will just fuck anything.
100%. 100%. You
I got
know?
a, I got a buddy who runs, I got a buddy who runs an ER out here, and he owns a lot of the urgent cares. One of the other parents at my kid's school, doctor. And it's just like, basically throughout his career as an ER, the head of an ER, there really isn't any object he hasn't pulled out of someone's ass.
Mm-hmm. It's
Like
true.
you can name, like
Yeah.
anything you can name,
Yeah.
he's pulled it out of somebody's ass.
Yeah. Which is
I mean,
insane to
it's
think
just like
about.
it's really great. Like from
Wow.
light bulbs, toys, forget it. Hot Wheels have been up more assholes
Yep.
than on racetracks.
Yep. It's
But
true. That's insane.
it's insane, dude.
Hey, they're leading
Right?
the way.
They're leading, but it's like so. All right, so this woman clearly had wanted her husband back, brought it back. It's a really interesting thing when you talk about letting yourself be open to communicating, but closing yourself off for safety, right?
Yep.
Or letting yourself open for beyond that, beyond communicating in
Yeah.
some cases, and then closing yourself off for safety. Like when can you, if
So
you can,
you're
close it
you're gonna
off?
you're gonna find this very interesting. In the
Sure.
early Shabbat days, going back to the fireplace room. Okay, when
Mhm.
I'd sit in the fireplace room and we'd Shabbat, I would, especially in the summer, start bleeding because of my skin. And a lot of times when the spirits would be like, oh, we want blood, this, that, and the other, I would literally start throwing my blood at the fireplace. And there's videos you could low down, on my TikTok of the spirits responding to it. Like actually like, responding to what I am doing.
Responding
And
to
the
blood,
activity,
you're saying?
yeah. Yeah, like so go with that, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is going back to like the openness of it. When I shaba, obviously I get loose, and that whole when the spirit's like I want blood, and I'm like I'm not giving you blood, spirit. Get some shaba in me, and that goes 50-50. I'll be like maybe, and it's really interesting to think about,
Why do
and
you
it's
call it
actually a
Shaba? Is
reason.
it because TikTok doesn't allow you to say tequila or something?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so we call it Shaba, and
Mhm.
it's rooted from battling the Sweet Kings, from somebody lying to me in the chat, telling them that spirits means Shabaha, but in reality Shabaha is like blow them up or something like that. So you can understand, you know, white dude from the States on live with somebody from the Middle East yelling Shabaha. It's not,
Seems
yeah. So once I found out what the actual word meant, the actual word in Arabic for spirit is Shaba.
oh,
So
interesting.
now that's why we call that.
Oh, look at that. That was an interesting little.
Uh,
Now we know. That's like a big after school special.
Yeah.
Now we know
Yeah.
why it's called. I
It's all
see. All
words
right.
that mean other things, and
Sure. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but
Crypt-
opening yourself up, it's a big thing, and
Crypto
it's a
Billy,
fine line.
thank you for watching. We hope you're following. Um, it is a fine line, and it's like, look, we're gonna have guys. We have a guest coming on in a couple weeks on the live that's going to talk to us a little bit more detail about spiritual relationships and what that means and the education behind it and how she protected herself. Um, you know, really, and it's going to be wild. It's a great story.
Uh,
Uh, as we dive deeper into all this,
no,
um,
there's a lot. Hey, listen, when it comes to the world and sex and spirits, there is a lot of opinions, circumstances, data. I mean, just it's insane, like the things that happen. And going back to that case from the New York Post, we don't know. There's no way to prove, obviously,
of
that
course
her
not. We're
dead
just
husband was in the room.
no,
However,
no.
if it helps with her grieving, by all means, go for it. And there's a possibility that he was that, and he enjoyed it.
Well, yeah,
He
dude, it's like,
was,
look, if we're gonna, here's the thing, if we're gonna start going down the road of we don't know if this is a real, but I mean, we'll just never get anywhere.
no,
I think
of
the
course not.
idea is like it's more fun to just like, okay, let's start from a place of this is real. Let's
Yes.
start from
Yep.
a place of believability and then
That
work
this is real.
backwards. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
work backwards. Because otherwise, what's the fun in just being like,
That ain't
oh, that's
real.
yeah, that's not he wasn't there. She's crazy or whatever it is,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's not
Exactly.
all right. I get it. I know that side of it. It's more fun to theorize about, well, if it is real, then how is it real as opposed to how is it not real? The how
So,
is it not real theory is simple. I get
yeah.
it. It's not
Yeah.
interesting. Not
So,
interesting to
like,
me.
what happens, like, with dead significant others? So let's say, you're in you're in your 40s, your wife passes away.
Yes.
Okay. You remarry. Does that mean your dead wife is watching you with another woman now?
I don't know,
Or
dude.
vice versa? Or vice versa?
And then
You
what's that
know?
headache like in the afterlife if there is one?
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
Yeah. And then what happens when you die? And if you do reunite with, the said past loved one,
right,
and your current wife, she's not dead yet. So you
right.
reunite with that one, and then all
Yeah,
of a sudden she passes away.
yeah,
Is it just a threesome for the rest of eternity?
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, right. I mean, this is why it's also
Dude, the
right. If you die
possibilities are
first, it's
endless.
like, well, great. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like if they find love again, if you die first and they find love again, are you stuck in the afterlife for sort of alone forever?
Yeah.
Or do you get to like, or is it hopefully just one big, orgy up there or
Yeah.
down there
Imagine
or right here or wherever it
imagine
is?
there's a line for singles or wannabe singles.
I know, right. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you lost it. Are you a first? Are you a first on?
Yep.
You know,
Oh, Mr. Johnson, it looks like your wife remarried. Come
yeah,
on down,
yeah, yeah. It's like he's like, yeah.
It's
He's
like,
like, dude, am I stuck? It's like she hasn't remarried yet. I told her that she should move on. And it's
yeah.
like, and Johnson's like, he's like, she's marrying that guy, and takes his ghostly ring off, and he's like,
Yep.
let's go,
Yep.
let's fucking go, and he's out there just like banging ghosts because now he's free. But then she dies first of her new marriage. So she winds up there, and Mr. Johnson's like, babe, I've kind of been dating all these other. And she's like, well, I thought you were waiting for me. Like, well, I guess that spiritual contract, well, it is till death do you part. I think once you
That do
die,
you
you're
part.
single, right? You're just automatically single, even in the afterlife.
Yeah.
If you
That's what
buy
the
into that, right? If you're buying
if you
into
buy
all that.
well, yeah, because
Yeah.
that's like what? That's like wordcraft, That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, sure.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like an oath, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the
It's
way the
right.
doctors take it's a Hippocratic oath, is what the doctors take.
Yes. Correct.
Like the same thing, like
I
the
shall do no
marriage,
harm, right?
and a lot of people get confused too. They think that like a priest or an officiant or a rabbi is marrying the people. No, it's the people marry each other in every circumstance. It's a
Yes.
contract between the two people. Um, so it's
Right.
interesting. It's
Right.
interesting to think about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like a
It's just
movie,
sort of
you
like
know?
he's got to be completely single.
Yeah,
So it's like it's almost like he's the crazy ex. If your ex dies first, or if your significant other dies first, and they haunt you, then they're like the crazy ex
yeah.
who can't move on. It's like, look, dude, it's kind of over, right? I mean, we had a deal till death do us part. Death,
I'm,
you know what I
I'm
mean?
sorry your ticket got punched early, but
Right. Kathy's telling us to death do us part is based on religion, in her opinion, right? So it's like death do you part is a religious sort of add-on to the marriage oath,
yeah,
according
yeah,
to
like you would think most churches that's what you hear,
right,
right? That to you part, it's like the most common.
right. But
Yeah.
let's just roll with it, even if it's. I guess. Do they say that? I don't know. Is that a vow that is offered when you get married by the state?
I think it is. I think you know what? I could look that up real quick, but I think it is. But I think you can also change that too.
Right.
I'm not sure. Let me.
But let's just roll with it. Let's just say it's dead. But either way, right? Either way, with religious or non-religious, if you get married and you say that, then you've made in your contract with this other person till death do us part. Like this contract is good until death, right? No matter
Yeah.
what religion or what. If you've said it to each other and that's what you agreed to, that's your deal. So now your significant other is dead, and if they stick around and haunt you, they're kind of like a crazy ex. They should be like, "Hey, man, the deal's off. Like we
Yeah.
broke, it's over, right? Like you went and
That's it.
died for whatever reason, even if we were taken or whatever, but it's over. Now I'm single, right? It's like there goes the ring.
You
I
know.
can
You know
move,
what?
I can do my thing. Like, why don't you get out there, start dating, go on some ghost Tinder and start pulling ass and leave me alone, right? Like, I don't know what to say. I guess, right? I don't know what the
Well, what's interesting, like from a data perspective, like if I get serious about it for a minute, I've come across situations where husband and wives are together, even in the afterlife. Bruce and Virginia, Herbert and Anna. Who
interesting.
else? They're together, and then other ones where they're not, where they actually don't like each other. Like, funny enough, I had a Joseph and Mary that, Joseph was a complete a hole. He not only was an a hole to his wife in life, but also in death, and she wanted nothing to do with him. To this day, when I approach his headstone, he starts shit with me, and I talk shit back to him about how I made his wife leave him. Um, it's really funny, and
Sure.
no, it's comical, but it's
You're
sad at the
finally
same
convinced her
time.
to move on.
Ah. And then, for example, like Ann Purdy, um, the data I have with her and her husband is that they don't get along very well. Yeah, so it's really interesting. Like some stick together and actually are together. Like when I speak to them, I'm speaking to the both of them, and
Well, here's the
then
thing. Well, here's an interesting thing, right? When you're talking about they sticking together, let's go with your theory of what spirits are for a second.
memory,
Right. So
the
is it
memory of them
just
together.
right? Is it a sort of a fused memory? Or
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Or is it a what are you actually talking to versus are these two separate spirits? Do you know what I mean? Like, right.
Yeah.
Is it like if you get couples because a couple has had a
How many
life
years
together,
together? Yeah.
right? So they've got a lot of memories together. That's a lot of
Yeah.
energy together.
And what's
Um,
crazy is if memories of a husband and wife find each other, if they gravitate and they stay, because it's the same, almost the same memories, even though it's two different perspectives. Like, the day you go to the supermarket and somebody slips and falls at the supermarket, and you step out into the parking lot after you're done, and you see a car accident at the light, and then you go back to the house and you watch a really good movie and you have a really good time. You remember that whole day. If those two memories sync, that could be a possibility of why that happens. So it's not even that they don't like each other or dislike each other. It's the memory that I'm speaking to at the time.
right,
Oh,
right,
huge possibility.
right. That's interesting.
Yeah, really
That
interesting.
gets weird.
Because there
Uh,
are combos. There are husband and wife combos. Bruce and Joanna. What I mean,
Combos.
Anna and Herbert, Hans and Joanna. I said Bruce and Virginia. I meant Hans and
Yeah,
Joanna. I'm trying to think of others. There's a couple of them.
right.
It's not like so. It's pretty crazy to think about. Like, are they intertwined memories? Are they the same? And are they becoming the same spirit because of it? Because we don't know how it works.
I wonder. Have you ever gotten or heard a spirit of someone living?
No,
Like, so you know what I mean, right? Remember how the Lloyd story of the
no, that
haunting, the imprint, though, right? Like people left the imprint; they were still alive, but their energy left the imprint of them banging it out in that
I
one
have
house.
one instance during my community party. I had a party back in October,
Hmm.
and I had a bunch of people come. We had after the party, a couple of us went to other places and whatnot, and like the following day, I took a bunch of people up to Letchworth, and we went to the cemetery. And the wife of one of the dudes that came to the party took a picture in this one general spot. Okay. Now, the crazy thing is, they caught a full blown apparition in the
Okay,
picture. The problem is, the full blown apparition was one of my mods. And what's crazy is that mod did not leave my side. So he was on the right of me. They took the picture on the left. He never, ever, ever moved from that spot. He never walked in front that way, nothing. He stayed two people down in this spot. And then she takes a picture, and all of a sudden, there he is, a transparent version of himself. So I'm trying to figure out how the hell a double exposure would happen when there's no
right.
movement.
I'd be curious, dude. I wonder, like, I don't know how we test this. Like, if some of these, well, because most of the graves you're dealing with are very old, so probably those people are also passed by now. But right, so it's like it would be very odd if you're talking to a Revolutionary War couple and the wife is still alive somewhere. You'd have to be talking to somebody recently passed, and maybe their significant other is there.
Mm, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
oh,
I mean,
I'm
listen, it's interesting, but when it comes down to it, I've never spoken to anybody that is alive. I never
M Hope.
have.
M Hope was really like, look at this. What she wrote here. She's saying, "I hope
Getting
my
back to the
dad
chat.
remember. I hope my dad remembers my mom and shoot her out." Just saying, interesting. I mean, that's a little dirty, M Hope. I'm sure that
Passionate ladies,
he,
man.
yeah, I'm sure he's thinking about it, even in the afterlife. Good for him. He's a giver. Um, that's a different kind of possession. Though, like the one guy that I was, the famous story, the entity story, which is if anybody, some of our older crowd may remember it, but I'm working with a guy who that was from his case files from back in this late in the 70s. A woman in LA she thought she was being sexually assaulted by a ghost. And it's a famous case, and they made a movie about it called The Entity back in the early 80s, and it was a book about it based on the UCLA case file. Um, that's that seems like a very, now we've crossed the line where a spirit does not respect the consent that we've been talking about to keep them from being attached.
Well, that's the thing. Not everybody can turn around and be like, "You do not have the right to touch me. You will not touch me." Not everybody can do that because they don't say it with conviction. They don't mean it. They're scared. There's fear. There's emotions involved, which we're
Mhm.
human. It makes sense.
Right.
Like that's just the way it is. With me, I have a short fuse, and I think that kind of helps me because
Hmm.
I'm very like passionate about it. Like, no, like
But
just
then you still got pushed.
I still got pushed and we lost Gary, but that's okay. But Gary's 100% correct. I still got pushed. I
Still there?
still, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I'm here. Sorry, I jumped
I
off.
still got pushed, and And I always say that my intent protects me from getting attachments, possession, and from being followed. But the one thing I can't lock down is being physically attacked. When they have the energy, when they get the frequency to do that, I will get attacked. There's nothing I can do about it. I've tried. There's so many situations where I've tried, like, yeah, you're not going to throw that brick at me. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. When they want to get physical, they're going to get physical. And that's the crazy thing. And I think it's because it's more of a physical attack. The same way I can't stop Voxy from hopping off the shelf and, jumping on my head.
Sure.
If I don't know what's coming, how am I supposed to stop it from happening?
Yeah, I'd be very curious, like, this sort of connection with spirit and where the line is an interesting topic to discuss. Especially when we're talking about communication, right? And what it all is.
Yeah.
Um, what do we have coming up next, dude? So we've got, listen, guys, if you haven't, anybody on here who might be just following, passing through, not speaking, I hope you like and subscribe to Splintered
Yeah.
Spirits. We've got a big podcast. We've got many episodes and many more to come. We've got some great ones on deck. We just dropped one with, like I said, with Bob Ginsberg, the founder of the Forever Family Foundation, which sounds like a tongue twister, but it's not. It's a real thing. And they are a really interesting service that helps grieving people with through the use of mediums. And due to a tragedy of his own, it's a really wonderful story. Um, and it's an interesting take on how he uses spirit communication to help others, right? Which is great. And the next one coming up, which is in not this coming Tuesday, but the next following Tuesday, is with we're going to be doing a little bit of a deeper dive into Sleepy Hollow. That's one of your favorite haunts, John, as a living person. And we have an
I haunt
author
the
who,
shit out of
and a,
that place.
yeah, we've got an author and a clairvoyant who wrote a book about it, and not just about the headless horseman, but there's just some really interesting takeaways to think about, about the headless horseman and that town in general, in terms of group manifestations, which is a really interesting, another not quite poltergeist, but poltergeist-ish. The idea that the living are creating these myths and
Myths.
these spirits, right?
Yeah.
Or
And
manifesting these spirits.
Allegor?
And egregore, I think he called it.
Agrigor. It was one of the
Yeah,
gores.
yeah.
Just not Al Gore,
We're not, yeah, right. We're not scientists. We're just trying to repeat it. It's like, yeah, right, right. It's an egregore, I believe he called it. But
Yeah.
we talk about.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's really, really wild.
It is really
Um,
wild. And just to get guys, again, just to give everybody a bit of perspective, Churchwell Cemetery is 25 minutes from Sleepy Hollow. So is the tunnels. So is Milton, the pre-war burial ground. 20 minutes from the marshlands, the new spot we go to. 15 minutes from the tower. Okay, from the tower, and 5 minutes from the cottage. And only 8 minutes from Buckout. Just to give you an idea, and driving without normal, in normal traffic, just to give you an idea of Sleepy Hollow and just how close it is related to this whole area.
I mean, look, there's really very few places. I mean, Sleepy Hollow is one of the. It's on every top 10 list of haunted places in America. Whether it's Route 9 or to go to Buckout or just Sleepy Hollow, you're like Westchester County is just sort of a known hot spot for
Lower Westchester
spirits.
County, man, it's
Yeah, I
nuts.
mean, it's just
It
nuts.
really is.
It really
Because
is
I'm from
wild.
Westchester.
Yes. It's great. Um, listen, guys, I think that's it's a good hour. It's a good hour for today. Thank you for tuning in, for stopping by.
Yeah.
Guys, please follow Kathy Nadal, who's in the chat. Go to
Yep.
Dream Central Station. Get yourself a reading. Treat yourself. It'll be worth it. I mean, it really is. It'll really be interesting.
And I
It's really
believe Kathy
wild.
also has a really good radio show too, doesn't she? Doesn't she?
Yes, she does. She
She
does.
does.
She talks to a lot of rock stars.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, because she's a
Yeah.
rock star herself.
I know it's crazy. It's
You
fun.
know?
I love it. I want to get the next time I get to New York with Kathy, I'm going to do a coffee reading. I'm going to film it. I
Oh,
love
that's
the fact
awesome.
that she reads coffee, which is my
Yeah,
favorite. And
yeah,
it's like, so everyone's reading tea leaves. We found the woman who reads coffee, which is great. It's my
yeah.
favorite thing. But guys, thank you
So
so much. This
awesome.
has been Splintered Spirits. Um, go to wherever Splintered Spirits podcast is, follow, like, we would appreciate it. Sign up for our mailing list. Oh, and ghost stories. Tell your
Mm,
friends. Go to our website, splinteredspirits.com. Tell them to drop a ghost story or two. We want to get more of those. We want to talk about those. It all adds to the documentation and experiences of people who have communicated with ghosts or spirits as we try to get to the bottom of it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
We want to hear about your personal experiences. We really
yeah.
do. You know, we love those well-grounded stories. You know, from you guys. It's something we love to discuss and talk about. So please do. You know, if you know somebody or you have one you just haven't told yourself, don't be embarrassed about it. Drop us a line.
Yeah. It'll be great.
It'd be awesome.
Absolutely great. All right, John. This was a
Gary,
good one. It's always fun. I'm
everybody,
glad. Guys, thanks for tuning in.
thank you.
We're big fans of yours, and we really appreciate you showing up for us.
Yeah, really do. Thank you so much.